Hey everybody, how you doing today? Just getting off work. Another beautiful night here in the wonderful city of Toronto. All the talk is about the coronavirus. That's all anybody's talking about. Typically, when it comes to political events or any of that kind of sort of outside the corporate norm sort of situation, the expectation of retail workers and of corporate workers and of service workers is sort of silent compliance. We're not really in a position to be able to have these conversations with our customers in a serious sort of way, with minor exceptions. But if you discuss politics with someone you are serving, you will be reprimanded for it, and you will be told to cease that, and you will be put into a position where it is awkward for you to continue having those conversations. You'll be pushed out, you'll lose hours, you'll lose benefits. The coronavirus seems to have superseded that in a very serious kind of a way. It is you can't help but have the conversation with people about the coronavirus in your place of work. And you can't help but begin to engage in more serious conversations about what it is that can be done and what our expectations should be of our political class, both what our hopes are, what we hope our political class will do in order to prevent any hardship with this, and what our expectation actually is. I'm, of course, the one that is typically setting the expectation, because I think there are a lot of people out there whose hopes are very high. I think the coronavirus has been a perfect test of how the capitalist system functions, and has done a great deal to show exactly how fraudulent and illegitimate the capitalist system actually is. I think that people don't really want to buy into the idea that the system they live in is actually designed to fail them, which, in my view, is a failure of imagination primarily. I think there's a reason why capitalism attacks the arts outside of leveraging it for propaganda purposes. There's a reason why we're not permitted to have legitimate conversations using artistic methods in order to explore and discover serious concepts. We can't just have artists for the sake of art. And the reason for that is if we did, then we would have to start having serious conversations in the realm of imagination. And capitalists are well aware that they exploit the people around them for their own benefit. They're well aware of that. They simply don't want the worker to be able to imagine a different structure or to imagine a different society. And so they have to go after the people whose responsibility it is to imagine a different society, and it is to imagine a different way of being. The coronavirus has gone a long way to show exactly what will happen when serious crises come to the nation. We've seen it over and over again. The flooding of New Orleans was a complete critical failure of the capitalist system. The hurricanes that struck the coasts were a complete failure of capitalist systems. The poor were abandoned, as they always are in capitalist societies during times of crises. And the coronavirus will not be different. The poor and the vulnerable, i.e. the people who are most widely exploited by the capitalist system, will be abandoned. And the difference, of course, in a in a pandemic situation, as this has now become, is that the poor can infect others. You have this is a real vaccination sort of situation. If the society was structured so that everyone could just hunker down, stay at home, if we could just pull the switch and say, okay, you have to take care of your health. It's not safe to spread this around. It's got a high lethality rate compared to other flus. And you have to think, like, this is what's grinding the capitalist system to a halt, is a flu-like virus that, instead of having a 0.1 lethality rate amongst people over the age of 65, it has a 4% lethality rate. And this crashes the stock market, the worst that it's been since 2008, as bad as the Great Recession. This is what's grinding industry to a halt. This is what's stopping production in China. This is what's stopping shipping lanes. This is making nations like Italy close their borders. A bad case of the sniffles, and the entire society collapses. When this comes through the service workers and the retail workers, who cannot take time off because they are caught in a cycle of exploitation that they are powerless to break. I should be more clear about that they have the power to break, but they lack the organization, the will to do so, because to break it would be as simple as gathering in the halls of power and demanding its end, or at least an end to the facade that they are free. The capitalist system is being tested, and it will fail, as it has failed over and over and over again. The coronavirus is a primer. And you have to remember, right? Like, the coronavirus is sort of a low-level threat. How do you think these people are going to act when climate change rears its head? When the issues of climate change start to become more serious? And I think one of the major things that has been interesting to see as this process just begins, and here in Toronto it is just beginning, is the irrationality of the populace. One of the great lies of capitalism is that markets exist, that people acting within markets are all rational actors. It's a persistent lie, like most capitalist statements, that the people acting will act in their own interests and will make rational decisions based on their own needs. Well, you can't find a roll of toilet paper to save your life. That's just stupid. That's not rational. That's the most irrational thing that can happen. That suddenly everyone is rushing out to grab as much toilet paper as they possibly can. And the issue has nothing to do with toilet paper. There's not a toilet paper shortage. Having extra toilet paper is not going to help you, right? Like, it's a complete disconnect kind of thing. People hear pandemic, they think toilet paper. That's not rational. The capitalist system has also pointed out that during times of crisis, capitalists will take advantage of the population with shortages, or they will monopolize necessary medicines, sanitizers, masks, medical equipment. They will monopolize it and jack the price up in order to exploit the need of the populace. We've seen this, we've witnessed this, there's evidence of this. And that's capitalism, baby. That's how it works, right? It's not interested in saving lives. It's not interested in helping anybody. It is interested in exploiting others for profit for themselves. And the system of capitalism states first and foremost, you are in competition with everyone around you. Distrust everyone. The only alliances that you should forge are alliances of convenience. Cut someone's throat the second it benefits you. That's the story of Mark Zuckerberg. That's the story of Jeff Bezos. That's the story of Bill Gates. Only have friends insofar as it benefits you, and as soon as it does not, cut their throats and walk away. And that's what you're going to see during this coronavirus period. The reaction, of course, from political leaders who have any semblance of sense or reason in their brain is to immediately abandon capitalism and start using government power in order to solve these problems, which is what we should be doing in the first place. The government has the power to ration. The government has the power to distribute resources. The government has power to claim assets and claim resources as their own, and they have the power to use those resources for the benefit of the populace. If we had rational leadership that wasn't gullibly compliant to corporate power, the way that the liberals are, or sociopathically and demonically dedicated to the destruction of the civil society, the way the conservatives are, the very first thing that we would do is we would pass an edict simply saying, all businesses are closed, stay home. We would follow that edict up with a basic income in order to smooth this transition and to ensure that every Canadian has access to the resources they need in order to pay the basic bills that they have. This would immediately alleviate all of the concerns brought up by a coronavirus or a virus of similar strength. If everybody could simply say, I do not feel safe in the public space because there is a natural born disease, I will simply remain home and the basic income will pay for my bills, smooth things out. Sure, maybe I'll get less toys this month, but at least the basic necessities of my life will be taken care of, and we can continue moving forward in safety. Of course, capitalism can't abide that solution because it reveals first and foremost that capitalism is a failed system. It doesn't actually function. It enslaves everything it touches, and anyone who tries to fight against it is destroyed. That's how capitalism works. Of course, it needs beneficiaries. People need to benefit, so it creates this small minority of elite people who are protected by military force, the police. And these people who have been groomed their whole lives in order to work in a capitalist system, people like Justin Trudeau, they have no moral center and they have no allegiance to anyone at all. They operate for themselves and they abandon everybody who they are beholden to. Again, this will be completely revealed come this coronavirus. We will be left to our own devices. If it bankrupts you, too bad. You get ready for these sorts of statements. Oh well, you should have saved up more money for such a situation. Why didn't you put more money in your bank account? Why didn't you save for a rainy day? Of course, 60% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck. Most of us are not in a situation to be able to handle taking any significant time off of work for a pandemic. And yet we're going to be told, the propagandists will absolutely tell us that this is an individual responsibility issue. That when a natural-born virus that has been called a pandemic inevitably sweeps through, affecting everyone of all creed, race, religion, sex, and class, that it is an individual's responsibility to take care and to fight against the total forces of all creation alone and by themselves. This insane ideology of individualism is an ideology of hatred and chaos and destruction. It literally creates gates and walls in our society. The billionaires, for example, are escaping to island bunkers in order to await the passing of this coronavirus. Do you have an island bunker? Do you think that the billionaires will share their island bunker with you? Do you feel like any individual should be able to earn an island bunker? Do you think it's reasonable to believe that a billionaire has earned an island bunker? To be able to literally detach themselves from the society responsible for their enrichment. As the coronavirus moves forward, and as we are inflicted with it, what it will reveal more than anything is how detached we have become from the natural order. It's very important for capitalists to try to convince everyone else that the capitalist system is natural, that it is completely natural for a small group of white men to take their generational wealth and dominate the rest of the society with it. And yet, this completely natural system, quote unquote, this is a form of gaslighting, because they're taking capitalism's greatest weakness, which is that it is a completely structural artifice. It has no natural, there is no natural argument to be had. It's the same argument they use to justify slavery. It's the same argument they use to justify the exploitation of resources. It's the same justification they use to justify all kinds of atrocities that they inflict on others, that it is completely naturally done. And then suddenly when nature rears its head, one would think that a natural system would have natural defenses against natural attacks. Capitalism is helpless. It has no defense system. And in fact, the systems that exist within capitalism make the problem worse. Hoarding of resources, exclusion of resources. If one group has no defense, it will get sick and it will spread the disease throughout the society. It's the vaccine argument. It's the reason we need people to be vaccinating, and the reason why the anti-vax movement is such a dangerous outcropping in our society. Because if our defenses get lowered in a small group, then the entire group is at risk. A fact that completely destroys the individualism capitalist argument. Not that they care. In the days to come, it's going to be exactly as I've been saying all along. The only people that you'll be able to rely on are the people you see every day. Your politicians do not care about you. Doug Ford has gone ahead and told people, oh yeah, go on vacation, who cares, right? It's totally fine, spread it around, it's fine. And honestly, in these days, like, if you're a young person and you're sitting here saying to yourself, well, you know, it doesn't kill me, like, it's fine. Well, look to your parents. Look to your grandparents. My mother was going to come to this city, but her timing would have corresponded exactly with when people are expecting this pandemic to really break out in the city. And I told her not to come. I told her not to come because she's over the age of 65, she has health concerns, and it could knock her out. And before this is over, that's exactly what's going to happen. There are going to be prominent people in our society who are going to be taken away from us because of the coronavirus. It's a very serious situation, and our political class is not taking it seriously. If they did, they would shut the place down. They would pass a basic income. They would ensure that the economic needs of the populace are taken care of, that everybody has food and shelter, everything's taken care of. But they don't care about you. So take hold of the people around you. Take hold of the people you love. Because when capitalism abandons you, they're the ones who are going to help. All right, I love you guys. Good luck out there.